Good morning. I hope you're all having a really good summer. It's nice to be free to do what you like to do and to take part in Messy Hands Art Camp via a kit that we're putting together for you. I'm Janet Beeman. This is my lovely assistant Keenan. She's helping me out today. I was a teacher in the Vermillion schools for 15 years and a graphic artist at University of South Dakota for 15 years. I'm retired now and teach adult classes, and I'm helping out with the camp. We are going to make clay masks in this video. You're going to need a rolling pin, you're going to need an armature, this is an armature, a mask mold. You're going to need a needle tool. Keenan has a needle tool there. A small bowl with a little sponge. You're going to need paint brushes, which are in your kit. A couple of paint brushes. When everything is dry and you're going to paint it. You're going to need tools for texture, which you can find around the house. Spoons, forks, even a ballpoint pen, ends of markers. Anything that can put an impression in the clay to make texture. Texture is, you can make simulated texture or you have actual texture. What you're going to put in the clay will be actual texture because you are going to be able to actually feel the texture on your mask. Simulated texture is texture that you draw or paint into a creation, and it's smooth when you touch it, but it looks like texture. That's simulated texture. And an armature is anything in a sculpture that gives support. You can build on an armature and then take it off the armature, or you leave like plaster or something on the armature to create your sculpture. So that's what an armature is. Just a few terms for you you can read them on the handout also. In the kit too, you'll have this sample of the masks I have on the wall in my house. Usually I have these on at Halloween, but they're in the video so that you can get a sample of what we're talking about. And there is another little handout that you can use. I want you to Google masks around the world. These, a lot of these are from different countries like Mexico, Costa Rica. This is Costa Rica. It's got the stippling with dots of paint. Others are from like Cozumel. So they all have a little different style. But take a look at around the world. Masks were used in ceremonies, over the face, some of them, and others just for decoration. So take a look at those and draw your idea out so you have a plan. It's always nice to have a plan. Makes things go easier for you. Then I want you to prepare the surface so that you're not cutting on a special surface in your home. You want to protect it. And the clay might stick to that surface. So put down a piece of plastic, or Keenan has a regular dish towel from the kitchen, a cotton dish towel that will protect the surface, and your clay will lift off of that easy. So you can use that too. Alright, so I want you to, the clay in your kit, I want you to get a ball about 4 or 5 inches in diameter. Put that down. Take your rolling pin and roll from the center out. You want to have a consistent thickness, and you're going to want to get the size to fit this mold, and that's about 9.5 by 7.5 roughly. About 1/4 of an inch, but if it's less, that's okay. And then you can peel it up like that. Put a piece of Glad wrap. We can have a piece of that in the kit for you. because you don't want it to stick to the mold. You want it to be able to come off of there. So go ahead after you've rolled for a while and see if it fits. If it doesn't come down to the edges, just take it back off and roll some more until you get it the right size to fit on there. And it rolls out pretty easy, so I didn't make my ball round enough, but so you see, you want it to press down to that edge all the way around. And if it folds like that, just press. The warmth from your fingers helps to loosen the clay up and get it where you need it to be. So, press it all around. Then you're going to take the needle tool. I'm going to borrow that from Keenan. And press down to trim off the extra. And if you have trouble cutting, wet that needle tool a little bit and it'll glide a little better. Take your extra clay and save it for our next project or creation. And put it in a bag to keep it moist. Let it dry out. And check your edges, because when you take it off the mold, you don't want it to be all rough and ragged. You want it to look fairly finished. You can smooth a little bit with the sponge, but just do it with your fingers. If you take that sponge and get the clay too wet, it gets all gooey and sticky and hard to work with because it's got too much moisture. So just wet your fingers a little bit and smooth out your edges till you're satisfied with them. We tend to, with clay, human nature is to take the sponge and just keep running it over the clay, but then it becomes unworkable and not pliable when it's got too much water. Okay, so looking at the masks up here, you can cut out your features, like cut the eyes out, or you can add features on. This one I added the features on. You can see that. I'll show you how to do that too. Texture on this one, you can add all kinds of textures to make your mask really interesting, or you can make it interesting with just paint. And like I said, you can do anything like this, stippling, or just get creative, and I say look at samples to give you ideas. But make it your own idea, your own mask. Okay, so to cut features out, you can touch the mold and feel where the eyes should be in the nose and the mouth. So if I'm going to cut the features out, and remember you can wet that to make a cleaner cut. Save your little pieces of clay. And you can cut the mouth out if you want more of a, an open mouth. And to add features on, which I'll do on the other side, you can make any shape of eye you want. This is just like an almond shape that I'm doing. Take a little bit of water on your fingers and kind of squish it down a little bit so that it attaches and doesn't dry and fall off, right? And just a little bit of water makes that stick. And you can take a little bit of clay in a bag, keep it moist. a little round ball, press it, and you get a little eyeball to put in there. Then you can take extra and you could add, like I did here, you can add the eyebrows. There's the eye that I just put there. The nose, you can add some clay on or just use the mold to press nostrils in like that. Or you can add a small amount of clay on and make it a little bigger. Smooth it out so it looks like it's part of the mask. And then you can pinch up, use the end of your needle tool to put some holes in there. I would work a little more to make this smoother, but you get the idea of adding that nose on, and you can get it to a nice shape. That was a little bit of clay added on to that. And then for lips, pretty simple. Just make a nice coil. Put it together. And you can put it on. Press up the lips a little bit, and it can be open or you can make it a closed mouth, and you can see there's closed there. I think she closed there, but it can be open, it can be smiley, just any kind of lips you want to put on, but that's kind of how you would attach it or make the lips. Let's see, anything else? Then for texture, like I say, this one's full of probably 12, 13 textures. You can just make sections, however, you know, and do a different texture in each section of your mask. I think texture is wonderful. I love texture. So don't be afraid to use that repetition or pattern of lines, the end of a pen. There's all kinds of wonderful things you can find around the house. Just makes fun stuff. And another thing to remember, you're going to want to put a wire or something to hang your mask. So take the end of a brush and put a hole on each side and make sure it goes all the way through, and then you can put a wire or a cord to hang your mask when you're ready. So let it completely dry. I want you to put a piece of, take a plastic bag like a Walmart bag. I'll get one. You don't want your mask to dry out too quickly. I will show you what can happen with this air dry clay. It will crack. It shrinks just a tiny bit, but if you leave it on the mold too long, it'll shrink enough and crack like that. And then you have that. So you don't want that. Overnight, this will let it dry slowly. You'll just put that bag and drape it lightly over the top. Then the next morning, take that off and take a look or feel and see how it's drying. If it feels like it's dried enough to stand on its own without the armature, then you can take it off and set it to dry. And that way you don't have to worry about it shrinking on the mold and cracking and ruining all your hard work. So make sure that you cover it lightly the first night, check it in the morning, and take it off if it's dry enough. Then make it completely dry, and then look at your plan that you made, how you're going to paint it, and then hang it on the wall and enjoy it. Thank you for watching. Bye.